live life excellence, because sometimes in our lives, things around us aren't excellent. But we still can choose to be excellent with the things we control. When I speak to, whether it's to coaches, to corporate, to kids, it's always master the controllables. And I'll speak a little bit about that today, because my purpose, realizing how impactful athletics is in our country and this world, and right or wrong, whether it should be. It is a platform that we have, that sports is really a vehicle to lead kids, to grow kids, to teach them, right, to coach them what it is to be a man, what it is to be responsible and be accountable, what it is to be disciplined, what it is to have a focus, and ultimately to be husbands and fathers for them. You're all Pop Warner football. Do you have any girls playing? I know that flag football is taking off. So boys and girls, whoever will have the opportunity to coach, but sports is huge. I was listening to Warwick Dunn talk about the impact that Tony Dungy had in his life. And when Warwick Dunn was talking, he wasn't talking about the X's and O's. He was talking about how he spoke life into him, that he spoke to who he was as a person, that he desired to know Warwick. And some of us know the story. Warwick's mom was a police officer killed in line of duty, and he basically was the man of the house as a teenager, and had to learn on the run, on the ropes, what it is to help and lead and parent his younger siblings. And he talked about how Tony Dungy just kept speaking life into him. And there's another player, and Tony Dungy again, and there's different coaches throughout that we see the impact that coaches have. But this one, it might have been at his Hall of Fame speech, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who it was. I should know that if I want to speak about it. But he talked about, Coach Dungy just kept talking about being prepared after football and the things I needed to learn. He said, man, I just wanted to play football, man. Just coach me how to play football. And after the fact, he's got like tears in his eyes, because he said Tony Dungy never quit on teaching him and speaking to him as what it is to be a man, what it is to be responsible, what it is to be disciplined, and the different things that will take him to be the very best person. And coaches, we're steward of young people who are malleable, that we have an opportunity to be in the process of molding them by the vehicle that's athletics. John Wooden, not John Wooden, I got a quote from John Wooden too, but Billy Graham said that a coach will impact a person in 1 year more than most people will in that person's lifetime. We all probably grow up playing sports. Coach says, I need to run in the off season. Coach says I need to eat better. Coach says I need to drink more water. Coach says, so I'm going to do what coach says, because coach determines my playing. Right? And so realizing that we have this incredible, it's really a responsibility. I want to speak life into you, that you can speak life into them. There's 3 aspects to that. 3 aspects I want to speak to you today is to you, within you, and through you. That you're receiving, that you're doing something with what you receive, that the output is more effective, more efficient in life. Those 3 aspects, because as coaches, I know there's a lot of stuff comes at you more than just X's and O's. And what I want to encourage you is to have the mindset that coaching is you're coaching the person, their heart, their mind, their spirit, the individual. You're coaching their thumbprint. Because every single person of the 8 billion people on this planet, thumbprint is unique. And to realize that we have an opportunity to bring out the worth and value that young people have. Because an athlete will perform to the level that they believe that they can play. They will perform to the level that their mind's been conditioned, and the words we speak are powerful. So we coach the player as an individual, their heart, their mind, their spirit, who they are. We teach X's and O's. We teach them technique. We teach them mechanics. I can think about all the coaches that I had that, a lot of us, growing up playing sports, baseball and soccer, and I was wrestled, and I played basketball, and played football through college, and then I've coached those sports, and I've been an athletic director for years, and realizing how impactful coaches are to see kids leaning in to what the coach is saying. But that could be a burden on a coach. You don't clock out. It's more than X's and O's. Even so much more, because you have a lot of kids, and this isn't something new now, but you have a lot of kids that don't have that male figure in their lives. They don't have someone that they can look up to. They don't have someone that tells them that they are loved, that they're cared for. That's not just their performance. When you coach a young person's heart, mind, and spirit, they're going to elevate, and their performance will be shown. That will be the byproduct. John Wooden, there's John Wooden quote now. John Wooden says that, and I guess now sometimes you got to talk about who John Wooden is, but coached UCLA to 10 national championships in 12 years of basketball in the 60s and 70s. And he says, never talked about, after we set our goals to win the national championship, at the time the Pac-8, Pac-10, whatever it was, to win the national championship, then the focus was on what we do to get there. That was a byproduct. That was the ends, not the means. And it's the same thing with winning games, the same thing with the scoreboard. That's a byproduct of what we do in the means of developing young people. Developing young people to believe, developing young people to know that they're loved and they're cared for, and that they do have worth and value. So these are some of the things, those three aspects that are to you, within you, and through you today as you coach. So to you, I say is having other people invest in you. You being coachable. And the challenge for that is we have people coaching us, teaching us what school, athletics as we get older. We have to learn how to speak, and we have to learn how to read, and we have to learn how to do the math table, multiplication table. We have to learn how to drive a car. So we have people teaching us. We learn when we get our job, and then somewhere we get deceived and we just start coasting because we've made it, so to speak. I know what I'm doing, know how to do it. And we should always be growing. We should always have a posture to learn, to get better, so that we can do better. And this calling, which you have, is a calling to be a coach. It's a gift, it's a calling, it's a passion, it's a love, right? You want to take what you've learned and you want to, and what you've experienced and what it's done for you, and help young people the same. Right? Have you ever seen Home Improvement with Tim Allen? All right. So, sitcom, funny show. Al was Tim's sidekick, and literally and figuratively, he's a sidekick. And as much as that was a sitcom, 80% of the episodes had their neighbor. Remember the neighbor's name? Wilson. And Wilson's behind the fence. And all you see is Wilson's eyes. And so when Tim had, which 80% of the time, Tim had to deal with real life. No matter how funny he is, no matter how cool things were, life of the party, when he needed real sound advice, when he really needed direction, he didn't go to Al, he didn't go to all the people that love being around him that would be yes men, that wouldn't want to step on his toes so they're not invited again to one of his things he does, parties, because he was the life of the party. Tim would go to his neighbor, and the fence showed there was division. That Wilson wasn't part of the crowd, the group, and he didn't care to be. And because of that, he was not afraid to speak life into Tim. He wasn't afraid to challenge Tim. He wasn't afraid to give Tim a perspective that maybe would step on Tim's toes. And Tim went to that fence because Tim knew he needed someone like that in his life. Do you have a Wilson? Do you have someone speaking to your life? John Gordon, who is a motivational speaker and works with professional teams, he said he's speaking at this place, and Billy Donovan, who just at the time won back-to-back NCAA championship basketball with Florida, is in the back room just taking notes. John Gordon's speaking about life and speaking about the person, speaking about being a man and speaking about things to implement. And he says, here's a guy that just won back-to-back national championships, and he's just, listen, he's just dialed in. And he says, I want to get better. And that's how you become a champion in life. Is allow yourself to be coachable, to be teachable, to have Wilson in your life. They got that phrase, got milk, with a question mark. Old commercials now. I think got Wilson, question mark. And if not, I always tell people, pray to God will open your eyes to the person that he's putting in your life, because there is someone in your life to pour into you. Because if you're just doing output, I want you to think about it. Think about when you get frustrated, when you get discouraged, when you just get mad and angry. Maybe you're losing your patience with kid. Maybe it's at home. But on that field, and think about coaches that you've had in your life. I mean, I've gone through, especially preparing for this, all the coaches, all the sports, the ones that it was, all they cared about was performance, how quickly they snatch you out of the game if you weren't doing well, and practice it was all about performance. I have a couple coaches like that in my mind. You might too. But now think about the coaches that impacted you, the coaches that influenced you, that you can still see them and hear them today, that spoke life into you, and how much more you wanted to play for them. Why do you coach the way you do? Why do you coach the way you do? Question for you to think about. Why do I coach that way? Is it the way that you were coached? And here's a question that can hit, and if you allow yourself to think about it, you allow yourself to see clearly. Would I want to be coached by me? If I was 10 years old, 12 years old, 14 years old, would I want to be coached by me? Would I want to be coached by me because knowing that it was more than X's and O's, or it's just X's and O's? That a coach who's just telling me my worth is only based about my performance? Or is my worth based on who I am and what this coach is feeding me and teaching me and showing me? And the more that you're coached like that, the more that someone's lifting you up and speaking life into you, the more that someone's encouraging you and challenging you and walking alongside you, the more you're going to do that with a young man or woman that you're coaching. And that much more they'll want to play for you. That much more that child, that young person who you were once playing sports, and if you allow yourself, you can remember that perspective you had of coaches who are yelling, who are listening, those that were consistently and they're clear and concise and knowing what they're expected from you, but also those that whatever their mood was from whatever their day was is up and down, and you just have to play and try to compete with that. If we allow ourselves to think about it, we can remember. And when we do that, it allows us to say to ourselves, all right, I can do better in this part. And even say, I'm doing well here. This is working here. I know that they're picking up what I'm putting down. Because when we allow someone to speak into our life, it enables us to have sustenance to speak into other people's lives. Just not X's and O's, right? So first and foremost, do you got Wilson? Do you have someone that's in your life that's speaking life to you, that you know, that cares enough for you, that they'll tell you something that will challenge you, something that might step on your toes, but you know and believe that they have your best interest at heart? Lean into someone that wants to. And a lot of times we miss that person because a lot of times someone starts talking or saying something, we kind of, right? We start, don't want to hear that. I mean, how many times have we had, I know I've done this, and when I talk to athletes now, you hear with your ears, you listen with your eyes. I mean, how many times I've done it, coach trying to tell us, yeah, I got you. How many I mean, that'll get you, right? Like, I know as a coach now, you're like, right? Give me your eyes. And there's two aspects of that. One, the neuroscience behind it is that when you listen to someone and give them your eyes and see them talking to you, that you more accurately and more collectively get what they're saying. And second, you're showing respect and you're teaching yourself to be respectful. Those who are trying to teach you and coach you and lead you to where you want to go that you can't go by yourself. And that same thing as adults, have people in our lives that will help us get to where we want to go. Because sometimes we don't even know where it is we want to go. We just think, here I am, I'm just trying to make it. But it should be fulfilling and satisfying to you when you walk off the field after practice, after a game. Now I understand sometimes, obviously, you get frustrated. I'm working with a coach right now, basketball coach on Division I level. Actually, was on Tony Bennett's staff when they won the national championship, Virginia basketball, and he's kind of transitioned to, as he gets older, to just coaching a high school team locally. And I'll sit behind their bench because we talk once a week, and I can see how he's so frustrated because, as you know, you tell them to do one thing and they do something else, or they don't do it well, or they don't, whatever it may be, right? Or they're not hustling, or they have bad attitude. And for that split second, I could just see him. Sometimes he behind the bench grab a ball, and I'm just working out in his mind. How do I articulate to them, to that young person, that's going to give them clarity without crushing them? And the first thing that I would recommend to you is always first affirm them in their intangibles. Now, you might not have that opportunity right away. I mean, it can be in game, they come to the sidelines, whatever it is. But when you affirm some the tangible isn't performance-based. Tangible, hey, you hustle, you're great attitude, you're a great team player. You're doing well in these areas that are controllables. Okay? Mastering the controllables for a kid is learning that these are things that will help a team beyond the value of their position that they play. And the more that we affirm a player and what they do, the more we can say, but you're not doing that right now. And you know that, and I know that. So when we speak that affirming, positive, life-giving to them, what we're doing is we're giving them a picture that their mind sees, yes, I can be there because I've been there. And the coach sees that in me. And so what it does, it puts on that young person to take ownership. It's in the same way to ask them a question that you see them do. If a player who's a good receiver, catches the hard balls, everything, runs great patterns, and then starts getting sloppy, right? The first thing you can say to him is, you're the best receiver. You got the best hands on this team. Right? Let me ask you, what is going on? How do you see yourself out there right now? Are you playing sharp? Do you think you're playing sharp? Because when we just tell them, you're playing sloppy, you're being lazy, we're just speaking at them. And we're putting identity on them. This is how you're being. Change it. And more times than not, if we allow them to speak it, if they're going to be the ones that speak it, therefore they are putting the responsibility on themselves, right? They're admitting without you having to do it. And so these things are things that you can implement if you pay attention to it, and every day you are speaking within yourself. And so there's to you and through you. And speaking to yourself is, you know, and you tell the kids, you're good at, you're a lineman, you're big, you got good hands, you're strong, you're a lineman, you're quick, you're fast, I mean, you're a running back, we're gonna put you at tight end, you're gonna be defensive back, safety, linebacker, all the different positions. You know it because you are watching them, right? You're going through preseasons, I don't know if you say, hey, who thinks you're gonna be a running back? And then they do it, and they're like, no, we're gonna put you, whatever it may be. However you do it, you identify their strengths. You identify what is their best position that helps the team. And it's the same thing with yourself. Do you know what your strengths are? Because when you have a strength, when the kid's a good wide receiver, then you start working on techniques and mechanics of running patterns, catching the ball, getting separation from defensive back, being in the best position that you're an option for the quarterback. And if you're an option for the quarterback, that means that helps the team that much more that the quarterback has more options, right? You're doing your job. The whole team is interdependent on what you do. You're interdependent of one another, right? And this is why I ask, regardless of the sport, regardless if it's at UNCW or middle school basketball and everything in between, and I ask it, what is the most important position on the team? I'll ask you all, football coaches, what is the most important position on the team?
Offensive line.
Okay, because you played offensive line, right? Yeah. Smartest guys on the team, I was told, right? All right. Anybody? Defensive players don't have to think, right? They just run into you and try to get around you. Anybody else? And they were like, I ain't saying nothing, man. Big dude up front. Yeah. Well, here's what answered I said regardless. I say to the kids, your position is the most important position. Because again, that thumbprint, your value, your worth, your ability, the rest of the team needs. Because you can be the best wide receiver, you can get separation from the defensive back, you can be wide open, you got all the speed to catch flies and head right to the end zone. But if the offensive linemen aren't doing their job, quarterback can't drop back and get in position to throw you the ball. You're depending on the offensive linemen to do their job. They're depending on you that you're getting open. You're interdependent of one another. So there's two aspects to that. Your position is the most important position because the value you have, the team needs, but you need everyone else's as well. Every position. When you can tell a kid, you're not lying to him, you say, it is so important that what you do benefits this team. And you speak those things that are life-giving. And we believe in you that you have the ability to do it. We're gonna teach you the exercises, we're gonna teach you technique and mechanics, and we're gonna coach you up who you are. Two aspects of it. The X's and O's and intangibles. And it's continually speaking those intangibles, continue that kid that he can say, I am worth it. I am good enough. I can do this. And that comes about from what we speak to ourselves. So I go back to identity. What is your identity? And some might say I'm a father and a husband. If you're a believer, I'm a follower in Christ. What is your identity outside of that? If you said, someone asked me, my identity is a coach, a speaker, servant leader, teacher, encourager, listener, helper, student, listener, man of God. What is your identity? So because when I speak that every day, because what you expose your mind to gets attracted to, I tell my mind that every day, so my mind says, this is who I am. So when we tell a kid he sucks, he stinks, we are sticking identity on them, and they will affirm it in themselves because they'll speak it too. And then their mind will say, we're stupid. You might do stupid things. You do dumb things. I am like a poster child for it, I feel. But what I do is not who I am. And it's important for us to understand that's the same thing with us. What is your identity? To know that consistently helps you be consistent, because that identity will be how you coach, how you teach. Knowing who you are. As I said earlier, we got those coaches that, depending on the mood of their day, what's going on, sometimes they come in angry, sometimes they're cool and patient. You don't know who you're going to get sometimes. Consistency brings clarity when you are concise with, on a daily basis, speaking life into yourself. That you can say, I'm a coach and I'm a speaker, I'm a servant leader, I'm a teacher, I'm a encourager, listener, I'm a helper, I'm a student, I'm man of God. It's when you speak consistently, you act more consistent, you coach more consistent. And consistency to a young person is something that the stability allows them to have confidence that you have confidence in them. So you're worth, every one of us is worth the time to think, what is the identity I have? What am I? Well, you're a coach or you're a teacher. Having that and speaking that, firming that up helps you and when you're consistent, that brings confidence. And if you're exuding confidence, it's bringing confidence to those kids that you're coaching. So it's having identity, knowing your identity. And what are your attributes? All right? My attribute, I call it humble confidence. And it goes back, just like I said, it's confident who you're doing, but you're humble because you need the rest of the team, right? Same thing. I'm confident in who God has put in me, what has grown in me, that I have worth and value, but the humility is that I also need other people's worth and value. I mean, it's a contradictory statement, but I try to stay with it in my mind to stay consistent, humble confidence. That I'm godly positive, that I'm vibrant, that I'm empowered, that I'm invigorated, that I'm strengthened, that I'm emboldened, I'm disciplined. If I speak those every day with my identity, they're grouped and it becomes who I am. And the more that you solidify and streamline who you are, again, more consistent, but you're also you're enhancing your ability to coach at a higher level, to teach at a higher level. You're elevating your awareness of that young person beyond the X's and O's, and you start seeing them more because you're starting to see yourself more clear. You're starting to see the attributes that you have, and it brings a purpose to why you're stepping on that field. And my purpose, I say, is to love, serve, and contribute wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. Contribute to my worth and value, to serve others, to love, care for others. So my identity, attribute, and purpose together, more consistent and more clear, the clarity I have of when I walk into a room, whether it's here or it's my kid's graduation. I don't know why I'm saying that because I got one more who's going to graduate. But any situation, circumstance, you don't have to try to think about how you have to act, how you have to be. It's the same thing walking on a field. So if you're small disciplines, exercise on a daily basis, develops, cultivates that consistency. That consistency develops and cultivates that confidence and that clarity, which brings about you're more efficient and effective in coaching and in teaching. And that when I talk about stepping off the field no matter what, that satisfaction, that fulfillment comes about. That you know that you're confident, that you have peace knowing I'm doing all I can where I am with what I have been given. And that's really what it is. Are you doing all you can where you are with what you've been given? Do you know what you've been given? Again, do you know your identity? Do you know your attributes? No matter what situation is, you are going to be consistent. What you're doing is you're setting a thermostat, internal thermostat. And the exterior is a thermometer because you can't control it. Just like work with track athletes at UNCW. You can't control the weather. You can't control whether it's cold, hot, whether it's rain or sun, who your opponent is, whatever. You can't control that, so don't fix your eyes on it. Master the controllables. Set your thermostat on your identity, your attributes, and your purpose, and that consistency will elevate performance. And ultimately, that's what we're talking about. The ends is a performance. The ends is a scoreboard. That's a byproduct of everything that we're talking about. We get so caught up on, thermostat, a thermometer just goes up and down, just reads the temperature, has no control. It is you realizing you have worth and value to establish a thermostat on a daily basis, to set it. every day. And your first step's your most important step. Meaning what you do first establishes you throughout the day. So I played receiver in college. 5 years, had a redshirt year. I had 5 position coaches. I had 3 head coaches. The third one was there for the last 3 years. Did you play at Methodist? My freshman year at William Patterson University, which is New Jersey, our coach there left to start the football program at Methodist, and this is a long time ago because I'm a lot older. He ain't there no more. But anyway, I just see his shirt. And so, yeah, another coach. And so 5 position coaches. And I worked hard. Football was probably not my best sport, but it's ironic because when I played in college, obviously I'm not the tallest receiver. I was fast, good hands, all that stuff, but so did everyone else. Everyone else had those. And working hard my freshman year, my sophomore year, trying to get through my redshirt sophomore year, finally getting some playing time. And I have a whole story of getting there, and it was definitely mental fortitude that I was taught. That's another story. So I started my junior year, redshirt junior year. Our team did well, did really good, and I had good stats, and we played well, which is great. So my senior year, coming in, I worked so hard to get to that position. I had to leapfrog some guys. There were some guys my first few years that came in after me, so they had more eligibility, all that stuff. But I got there, and again, that's my own story that be a whole different talk. But I made it. So come in the summer, starting receiver, new position coach. Here comes this guy, older guy, got his belly, he's just walking in, just has the golf hat on. He looks like he's already checked out. And he's telling us we're gonna start on the line of scrimmage a different way. And 21, 22, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. And he's like, no, you're gonna do it this way. And it was, as a receiver, back in the day, you're on the line, man. You're just cool. You're looking in, right? And he wants us like, I don't know if you remember Peter Warwick, but it's like this. And you feel like a robot. And you're like, and we would sit there at individual during practice, and I mean, it's like go one, and you're just, I don't want to do it because one, our mind always wants to do what it's familiar with. Our mind wants least resistance. And this is how I tell kids, but when you speak and challenge your mind, that's how your mind gets stronger. And the whole thing with him was we would be better equipped if a D-back a corner got right in our face, to be able to swim or whatever it is to get away from him. Again, the rest of the team depending on us to get separation to run the route, right? But when you're 22, like, look, I'm good. I didn't fight him that much because he's one who gets to choose what the head coach is going to play. And I had to do it. And I work in the mechanics of it and how it felt robotic. But after time, just like anything else, muscle memory gets good. And here's the thing. At the end of summer camp, finally found out who he was. I thought our coach was doing him a favor, whoever this guy was. Well, he was doing our coach a favor because he was basically retiring as Dan Marino's wide receiver coach. And he was now how stupid did I feel? Duper, I don't know if you remember Mark Duper or Mark Clayton. That was their receiver coach. And here I am, I'm good, I'm Division III, I know what I'm doing. So the humility to be coachable raised you up because in games you realize that it puts you in an advantage when someone was trying to press you hard. Your hands are already up. And I remember that to say, always be coachable. But what he said, and going back to my first statement, is your first step's your most important step. He said, the first thing that you do dictates the rest of the pattern, how successful you will be against separation. If he's pushing you and stunting you and getting you tangled up, play lasts 5 or 6 seconds. And always remember that because it's the same thing with your mind, setting your thermostat. You have a spirit of discipline. The Bible tells us we have a spirit of discipline. We just have to operate in it, whether we feel like it or not. We have a spirit of discipline. It's a discipline ourselves. So every morning, for me, along with a bunch of praying and meditating on scripture, is setting that thermostat. This is my identity. This is my attributes. This is my purpose, my mindset. What you expose your mind to, it gets attracted to. So subconscious takes it and you operate in it. Because if you are going to be a thermometer, you're expending so much energy trying to be someone you're not, trying to fill needs you're not, trying to do. But when you streamline, this is my identity, this is my purpose, you'll be that much more focused. Again, it will elevate you, and therefore the performance of these athletes will be enhanced. And that brings satisfaction. Right? There's satisfaction when you see the light bulb go off of the kid, which not just because they figured out the technique or mechanics and then they're doing it well, but you see their chin up, you see that they feel value and worth. That's not necessarily what they're thinking, but that's what's happening. They have value and worth. And when you have value and worth, you want to share it. And that starts all that with, are we discipline ourselves on a daily basis with small disciplines, establishing physically, spiritually, and mentally? Are we sharpening ourselves so that we be sharp for them? As we tell them about being in shape, we should mentally, spiritually, physically. We should be doing every day small disciplines so that we're more alert, that we have better clarity, that we have better confidence of who we are, and therefore we step on the field and that gets transcended to them. And you're one of the coaches that they talk about, coach such and such. We all have stories, X, Y, and Z. Is to think about a purpose before you step on that field. Purpose is just, let's get through practice, get these kids ready. We're getting ready for life. We're teaching them, and to teach them realize that what sports teaches for them is about sacrificing and discipline and being a good teammate and being coachable and listening, right? To helping, to be encouraging, to be encouraged, to allow people to encourage them. It's life. Things are going to be unfair, right? The ref isn't going to see it, doesn't make the right call, or makes the wrong call on you, or a kid thinks he should start, or a kid thinks he should play this position. Well, life's unfair, that's the way it is. It's what are you going to, that's the part of, things aren't excellent, be excellent what you can control. And that's for us to tell those kids. We're speaking life every day. And Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so shall one person sharpen another. So go back to those 3 questions. 3 questions for you to ask yourself, which from there can build. Why do I coach the way I coach? That makes you think about seeing yourself on the field. Will you coach that way? And would you want to be coached by you? Because when we take those 3 questions, it enables our mind to lay it out, to be honest with ourselves. Because we can always add excellence that can subtract out better, good, or not so good. Subtraction by addition. We subtract out that which isn't at the top performing level for ourselves by adding that which is. And it starts with investing in ourselves. But it starts with those 3 questions. Think about it. Why do you coach the way you do? Can you see yourself in good and bad? Can you see a time when you realize that you're not being your best for them? Because maybe you're not being the best for you. And can you see yourself at times when you're you're in the zone, just like an athlete, coaching wise. You see it, you're speaking it, you're calling plays, kids, you're saying the right things to kids. Well, there's reasons why you have both. And it is learning more about yourself. And it gets initiated by having someone speak life into you. And then what you do with it is seen by how you coach. And again, I'll go back to, you have a lot on you as a coach. There's burdens that are unfair from parents, from whatever. So my whole purpose is to speak life in you, to give you tools, simple, that you can implement that'll help you stay streamlined in what the purpose is of being a coach for these young kids and what you're going to do in their lives. There's a think about, remember the Titans. Coach Boone, you know, he's got the white kids, the black kids, and the whole thing that he's teaching them, he's coaching them that regardless of how unfair, how hard it is, because they're the only school in the district that has mixed race, get over it. It's going to empower us, he tells us kids, this is what's going to help us be strong because we have this adversity that we're dealing with. And when we see adversity as opportunity to really find out who we are. And that's, you know, pressing into ourselves and pressing other kids that problems are challenges and challenges are opportunities. It's opportunities to find the resiliency that's within us, the resolve that we have, the determination, the stick-to-itiveness in ourselves that we can also coach kids on that. And that's what he was coaching them. They went away and they had that camp but what it brought them together through adversity, brought them together that there is a common adversity because he's putting them through conditioning and 3-a-days and in the sweltering heat. And they realized what he's doing, he's coaching them to be men. And being men helps them to be better at performing at a high level because there's going to be adversity from the opponent. There's going to be adversity from the scoreboard, all those things. There's individual matchups within the game, right? And so it's the same thing with the kids when we tell them you have this ability, when we speak those affirmations to them, that they will rise up. And that's at the very end of the movie. They're losing at halftime of the championship game. And Coach Boone goes into that, man, we had a great season, all if we don't win, all that stuff. And Julius, I don't know if he was weak or I don't know if he was the will or he was, I can't remember Sam. They went at it, and him and the other guy. He says, all due respect, Coach, what you've coached us and taught us is we can't be perfect, but we can excel towards perfection. You taught us that we can overcome. And he says, we might not individually be perfect, but this team is perfect. And if it's all of a sudden with you, we want to keep it that way. And that comes from someone who realized that coach has done work in him beyond performance, that he cared about him and loved him, that he would coach him at a higher level. He would not allow the standard to drop. And when kids see that the standard is extended not just for wins and losses, but extended for who they are, they will strive towards it. And that's what you see in that movie. And that's the outcome. And of course, we know it's a true story. The opportunity that we have as coaches. Yes, it's time, effort, energy. I know sometimes your money, I'll buy all those things that we extend out. But not only are those young people worth it for what we're doing in their lives, that they're going to be in our society as functioning adults, contributing, but you are worth it as a coach, as the calling that you have to coach. The experience of coaching and the satisfaction of the film, it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but it's rewarding and it's enriching when we allow ourselves to be that vessel to receive, to work it, and give. And we'll have a kid who calls us coach for the rest of life that goes beyond that word. They have someone in your life, just as Warwick Dunn said to Tony Dungy, that girl on Maryland, if you saw that Maryland basketball, they eventually lost to North Carolina in the regions or Sweet 16, the women's tournament. And this one girl, the leader, wasn't playing up to her ability. And she was sloppy in certain things. And it went viral on the sidelines, and the coach just gets in her face. All right, you see that? And says, I believe in you. You have to believe in you. You have it in you. And only can that be with the relationship that they build. And that relationship was beyond X's and O's. And in the press conference, that's what that girl said. That relationship we had, knows she can do this. I needed it. She loves me. I know that. And then she went out there and she almost willed them back to win. They lost by like 2. But she'll carry that for the rest of her life. Coach says, a coach will impact one person in a year more than most people will in that person's lifetime. I remember coaches, I remember halftime speeches, I remember being taught on the sidelines, I remember being camp, I remember specific things. Do I remember, I hate to say it, some things in middle school or high school teachers? No. Unless they're a coach. But you know what I mean? Again, fair or unfair, right or wrong, athletics is such a huge part of our culture and society. It's so influential, impactful. So we have this platform, and let's use it for good. Let's use it for excellence. And let us, in speaking life into young people, have permission to push them and extend them and challenge them to be their very best, even if they don't see it in it. We speak it to them, and they will actualize it. And that's the enriching and rewarding part of being a coach. So I just want to encourage and challenge you. First and foremost, have someone in your life that challenges you, that speaks life into you. That, like, Wilson was not afraid to say something that Tim wouldn't invite him to the next barbecue or the next party he had. He didn't care about that. That's that fence. Didn't matter what he looked like. He had his eyes. That's all you see from Wilson was his eyes. So his eyes are locked on Tim. I'm listening, Tim. I'm here for you. And Tim knew that and saw it and poured out. And to have a kid also, Coach, I need to speak. Coach, I have a problem with this. Because they trust you that you are listening to them. And that's us continue coaching ourselves to do that. To be disciplined within ourselves, to establish a thermostat by knowing our identity, our attributes, our purpose. We step on the field. I tell athletes, 80% of games are won or lost before you step on the field to play. It's all here. What you establish a thermostat, what you believe you can, what clarity you have, what confidence do you have, how'd you get there? It's because you were coachable and you did the things you needed to do within yourself to step on that field with your value and worth. It's the same thing for each and every one of us as men, as coaches, as fathers, husbands, whatever we are put in to be that identity, wherever we are. So I want to encourage you, challenge you with that. If there's, you want any of that written down, so I can send an email with bullet points. Like I said, I've books here, anything that can help you out. Actually, the one all the way on the left, Live Intentional, is a 100-day mind, body, and spirit, short devotions. I said the other 2 books, but anything that I could sow into your life, speak into your life to help you with God has blessed me with, to give. And knowing, and as I said, I was an AD just at a private school, middle school, just realizing how parents are and the fish, all those things. And to coach them is the same thing to coach you. And that's to speak life. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attentiveness. And I pray and hope that there's that which I spoke to you that you could put in and implement within yourself to help you become a better man, therefore a better coach for these kids. So. Yeah, I'll have clips of this on my Instagram. Actually, the whole thing will probably be on YouTube. I guess, did they have your information? I could send you all my information on there because it will be on there. And again, if you want a book, you can as well. Because that is my whole purpose: love, serve, and contribute to what God has blessed me and worked in through me to be someone who could impact others.